All right, so welcome everyone to today's deep dive. We're going to be looking at some, well, some big movers in the Singapore market. Should be pretty interesting one, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Always a lot going on, and we're gonna unpack it all today. Three companies specifically. I'm gonna break it down, what it means. Not just the headlines, but the actual impact.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what does this mean for, investors? What does this mean for the companies, for the market as a whole?
Their strategies. Yeah.
Exactly. So, first up, Maple Tree Logistics Trust, MLT, for those in the know.
hmm
They just made a pretty big sale.
Yeah, it's $11.2 million for a property. That's almost 40% more than it was valued at.
Wow. Yeah, that's a hefty profit.
Yeah.
So what's the thought behind this? Is this going to send their stock skyrocketing?
Well, it's definitely a good thing, right? I
Yeah.
mean, positive for sure, but it's not gonna I don't think it's gonna be a huge game changer for their financials this year. The sale is pretty small, relatively speaking, but what they do with that money, that's what we want to watch.
Okay, interesting. So it's like they're kind of cashing in a little bit, but it's not about that immediate gain. It's more about what they do with the capital.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about what they do next, right? It's that capital recycling. It's how you use the funds to grow.
Yeah, yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So let's move on then. City Developments Limited, CDL, they've been busy,
Oh yeah.
very busy.
Yeah, what have they been up to?
Divestments. I mean, they're really going for it this year. Over $600 million in divestments already.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of assets they're letting go of.
Wow.
Yeah, including a big industrial complex here in Singapore,
Mm.
and parts of some other properties as well. But the really big one, the one everyone's watching, is this deal in Suzhou, China. They're selling off parts of the Liang City Center.
Oh wow.
Huge mixed-use development.
And the first payment's already gone through. So, they're serious about this.
Yeah, so it seems like CDL is also in this kind of like restructuring phase. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're streamlining, they're focusing.
Oh, okay.
And when a company starts selling off a lot of assets, it can make people nervous, but I don't think that's the case here. They're being very strategic. It's all about, maybe getting rid of things that aren't performing as well and then reinvesting that money into something with more potential.
So it's not necessarily a bad sign. It's more about like optimizing their portfolio, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Like spring cleaning for your investments.
Oh, like
Getting rid of the clutter.
yeah, yeah, making room for new and better things. All right, so last but not least, Fraser's property. Now they're all about efficiency, right? Oh yeah, big time. Like that's their mantra right now.
Like they're really focused on getting their finances, rock solid, and they're not afraid to sell off assets to make that happen.
Right,
And
right.
they're smart about it. They're patient. They're looking for the right time, the right price, the right return. They're not just gonna dump things for a quick buck.
So when you see a company like Fraser's Property,
Mhm.
really emphasizing this idea of efficiency,
Yeah.
what does that tell you as an investor?
Well, it tells me they're thinking long term. They're planning for the future, and that's always a good sign, right? I
Right.
mean, and nobody wants to invest in a company that's just short sighted. So this focus on efficiency, it's like they're building a strong foundation, for future growth.
Right. So it's not necessarily a buy or sell signal. It's more like a wait and see how this develops.
Exactly. It's all about, keeping an eye on them, watching what assets they choose to divest and how they use that capital.
Okay. So to kind of wrap things up here, we've got three companies, three different approaches. MLT, they're strategically reinvesting. CDL is reshaping their portfolio, and Fraser's Property is all about that efficiency.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to see these different strategies playing out in the market.
Absolutely.
And it just shows you, there's no one right way to do things. Every company has to find what works best for them.
Right, right. And as investors, it's our job to kind of understand those strategies, to see the bigger picture.
Exactly. And to remember that, that the numbers are important, but it's the story behind the numbers that really matters.
Totally agree. Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. But as always, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
And until next time, happy investing.